A pleasant Tuesday morning to you. Welcome once again to Untengle on the Bridge 99 FM. Thank you very much for joining us. I want to say a very special morning to Richie B and the Up and Go crew. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and a very special morning, of course, to all those gathered on the bridge. You know that we are all here because of you, and we want to send out a very special good morning to Team Untengle. We want to welcome in studio live Mr. Jahvoughn Francis. Welcome to the Bridge 99 FM.
Thank you so much, Mama Elise.
Okay.
I feel welcome.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Wonderful. I'm happy that you do. All right. So we've been talking about your book, and you're a past student of KC. We didn't tell them that. And you are currently a student at the UWI and a customer service rep at a financial institution. And of course, we talked about the book. But before we go into all of that, which is what you're actively involved in now, let us talk a little bit about your early years. Let's talk about Jahvough's early years. Jahvough's early years.
Well, I mean, I think my early years would have shaped me the most. I mean, if I should speak about parenting and my childhood, I would say that I am the product of a firmly balanced parenting. What I mean by that is that all the values that would have been inculcated up until the age of 10 would have served me up until now. You know, that was a foundation, and you know, there would have just been, you know, a few floors added, but the most important thing was that my parents really set a foundation that I can say, and I can honestly say and firmly stand on the fact that, you know, it has served me in my life right now.
Okay, so let's talk about community. What community you were raised in and that kind of thing?
I mean, I was raised in the community of Swallowfield. During that time, I would have moved to Portmore, and then I went to Spanish Town, and now I reside in Marvelly.
Okay.
Right? Inner city communities, for the most part, but I will say again that I believe that I am a king because I was influenced by my household. So, in a sense, I was more impacted by the values that my parents would have inculcated more than anything else. Right?
Yes.
And that would have garnered me some influence to say that, you know, I'm a leader in
Excellent
my own right.
point. Let us stop right there. You said that you're more influenced by your parents than who were in the home, who you
Yes.
were in the home with, than anything that was happening outside the home. And this is a point where we really have to stop at, because there are some people who think that because you're living in a particular community, that is what your destiny is, and this is how you're destined to continue. But let us talk about parenting anywhere at all, and the influence of it. Let's talk about the values that you've spoken about that your parents instilled in you, no matter where you were.
Well, I mean, for one, I never felt like I was short of love, right? My parents would have affirmed me every day, telling me that, you know, they love me, and of course, they would have made me feel secured in their love, so I didn't have to go outside to feel like I needed to be a part of any group. Of course, the values that they, and based on the fact that they would have showed me love, and they would have, you know, taught me how to love as well, I never felt like I needed to question the things that they wanted to instill in my life. So for instance, if they say, okay, stay in tonight and study, or don't go there, I valued their words so much that I didn't even question it, right? So whereas someone outside my home would say, let's go and do this, I know my parents' standards and I value that so much. It was a holistic reverence that I had for them, that I said, you know what, I don't think mommy would approve of that. I don't think daddy would approve of that. So,
But you said something that's also very important. You were so confident that your parents loved you. It's not just that him don't disobey mommy and daddy, you know. You were so confident that your parents loved you that you had absolutely no doubt that what they were telling you would have been in your best interest.
yes.
So one goes before the other. And for those who can't relate, perhaps we need to look at, again, parenting. Are you confident enough, or are you being showed enough love inside that home that if someone beckons from outside for you to come outside, you can say, no, I will not come?
it's truly powerful, Mama Elise. And the reason why I said that is because, and also you have to, I think a word to parents is that you have to ensure that your parenting is balanced. And I say that to say it can't only be strict, but there also must be that element of affirmation and that element of comforting and compassion, right? And the reason why I said that I believe I'm the product of a firmly balanced parenting is because mommy was the enforcer. She was the strict one. She had set the standard for excellence. While daddy, he was the compassionate one. He was the one who always wanted to, hug me up and say, "Come on, boy,
You serious?
kiss me on my forehead," and so forth. you know. And it
Whoa.
was truly a perfect balance in my eyes then.
Yes.
Because, whenever mommy would scold me for something that, I deserved scolding for, then daddy would say, say, "Mommy, are the right thing she said. Like, come in, man." And, so would I play football, and then, I would understand that. And then, mommy would come around, and even after a firm scolding, cook food, and then I would realize, okay, it's all over again. And even though I would take some time to, like, eat the food, mama would admonish me again and say, "My boy, say, you were wrong here, and this is why I'm correcting you." So it was not only correction without, words of affirmation, right? Why I was corrected. And that was important for me.
There are times when both parents come down on your heart. And there are times when both parents need to come down on your heart. But a perfect balance, no matter which it is, I have found, is that when one is coming down really hard, the other one must take the soft line.
Exactly.
Whoever that other one is. Because if not, then children can feel overwhelmed. However, there are instances when the two of them for come down for you. We still agree with that.
Yes.
So did all of this background and love and appreciation have to do with the fact that youth development is one of your passions?
Well, most definitely, looking back now, I realized that, well, I didn't realize until now that both my parents had, significant roles in, just impacting youth in their own right. For one, my mother was a teacher.
Okay.
I did remember that. And my father was a coach. So, he would have been in the role of influencing youths to play football and, externally. So now I have a role of, influencing the kids in my community. Well, within the COVID period, when COVID was at a spike, I was teaching the kids, volunteering my service to see, okay, there are kids doing the PEP exam, and of course, my parents would have afforded me all that I needed to excel in school. And I remember specifically that I had a cousin who is intrinsically smarter than I am, but he didn't have the resources to kind of harness his educational development. And that truly hurt me. So when I remember how much I was afforded, I never lacked anything, when I was going to school. And I truly have to thank my parents for that. When I remember that, I think it's my right, I think it's my duty to give back to others who didn't have the opportunity that I had to become all that I am and will become.
They say to whom much is given, much is required.
Yes.
And that's a fact. And it's not that you're doing it. Nobody have no weapon over you and say, yeah, if you do that, nothing like that. Just you inside yourself, you see that. And I'm happy that you even mentioned that with your cousin, because I've heard it so many times before, and I've witnessed it in real life, where you as a youngster can look and see and know for yourself that had that individual gotten a better start, they would have done so much better. And then when you get older, you try and rectify that. That's a wonderful thing to say. All right. So at the age of 11, something dramatic happened in your childhood, in your upbringing. Let's talk about that.
At the age of 11, my father died, right? And at that age, you are living life, you are young and engaged, and, you're not focusing on the fact that you can lose the person you love the most, right? And it happened so quickly that I didn't get the chance to, gather myself to say, okay, this is really what's happening. I remember being told that my father had just about 3 months to live. And I remember processing that as an 11-year-old, right? And I remember being, taking things for granted because I was afforded so much at the time. And I remember thinking to myself, does this mean I will never see daddy again? I remember trying to cram 11 years of love into those 3 months.
Oh, you did that. I know you
I
tried,
mean,
but
yes,
you
I
know.
tried. So I remember just being there by his bedside, seeing him in this frail state, and I remember crying, telling him I loved him and all of that. Whenever he asked me to do something, I did it. That wasn't the case, when he was alright and everything. Sometimes I choose to do it, and sometimes I would frown, but it was unconditional love, nonetheless. And I remember subsequent to his death, in retrospect, I was like, no matter how much you love him in those 3 months, it was not enough to compensate for the years that you didn't, love him entirely. And that changed my life. Because, go ahead, Mama
You
Elise.
go ahead.
Because now, most people see me as a bubbly person, vivacious, always affirming others and just, oozing out compliments and love. But they wouldn't realize that, or they wouldn't know that, that would have been because of what happened to me. I've taken a stand to say, okay, life is short, death is real, permanent, and it's scary. So I've taken this stand to say, I'm going to affirm you as a loved one. Mama Elise, I love you.
Love you
I'm
too.
happy I'm here.
Yeah, happy you're here
that
too.
is the result, of death. I remember, just before you go, Mama Elise, I remember my grandma, passing last year. And even though her death would have, torn the family apart, it liberated me.
Oh.
Because I would have loved her so much, and she knew that I loved her. She knew, and even though I felt the pain of her passing, I was liberated.
Because she passed knowing how you feel about her.
Yes, Mama Elise.
Yes, I get you loud and clear. But let me ask you this though. I hear what you said about, you trying to cram 3 months of love in you. Have you at this stage now looked back at 11-year-old Jahvoughn and comforted him and forgiven him with the fact that at 11 there's nothing else you could have done?
Mama Elise, I love that question. Reason being, it took me 10 years to really forgive myself for that. And many people say that I'm hard on myself because there's a standard of excellence that I hold myself to, right? I always try to be perfect in whatever I do. I remember playing football, and people don't understand the passion that I have for the sport. Football is perhaps the most important thing that keeps me and my dad connected.
Because he was a coach.
He was a coach, right? And I didn't get to see him play. So every time I get a chance to play football, I'm not representing only myself, but I'm representing the connection that we have, right? So I try to aspire to be excellent in that aspect. And I remember looking back, just feeling so guilty for not loving my father enough after he had loved me unconditionally all these years. And I remember at one point, I was listening to Maya Angelou, and she said that love liberates. And you see, in that moment, Mama Elise, I was liberated because I knew how much my father loved me. Unconditional. That's how the Father loves us.
Absolutely.
God himself, So
but your dad had the maturity that he needed to be able to love you unconditionally. You were 11, you did not have that level of maturity.
Yeah.
You just couldn't. It's like getting married at 11 and thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, how I'm not doing this the way my dad did. It just doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen like that. And before we move on, can I say to everyone listening, because we all do it, can I say to everyone listening that we need to take a stock of ourselves, remember our immature selves, remember that there's very little that you can do to be mature when you're 11. Yes. Forgive your immature 11-year-old bad behaving self, because that's what 11-year-olds do.
Yes.
And as you said, Jahvoughn, just remember all the love that you had. Yes. In spite of all of this.
That's
wonderful.
What. Yeah,
wonderful.
Definitely, Mama Elise. I love that.
Yeah, man, and that's for all of us. All right, let's take a break now, because the next thing that we want to talk about is the book.
Yes.
And that will take a little time. So in the meantime, think about the book and think about the poem or two that you're going to share.
Okay, cool.
All right, so we're going to take a break now. We have live inside the studio Jahvoughn Francis, a young aspiring author and entrepreneur. And before we even talk about the book, we haven't touched on the entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Tell us a little about that.
I mean, entrepreneurship, that journey started as early as high school, right? I remember mommy and I were living in Spanish Town, and things took a turn, and things were tough. I remember a couple mornings, well, mommy didn't have the means of sending me to school, and I thought to myself, why not sell sweetie? And that's when Mr. Meyer would like to hear this, because as sweetie sellers, it was prohibited on the school compound. But we had to do what we had to do. So I would go to town in the mornings early, buy my sweets and come to school. And because I had the influence of playing football and being a leader, people always bought sweetie from me. So I remember specifically that was a means to an end in that I was able to provide food some days, and that's where it started from.
So you used to play football for KC?
Yes.
Wow. Tell me something nice about KC.
KC?
Yes, because you come from KC. Everybody who I know, there's something about the leadership
Yes.
of the KC team.
Yes.
That makes every young man I know who passed through KC very confident. Tell me about your experience at KC and how it helped you to become the confident young man that you are.
All right, cool. Mama Elise, remember, you're coming from a primary institution and you're plunged into high school, all boys, right? I remember my first day in the college. I remember thinking that there's so much energy. Everything was just top tier. I remember thinking, like, what kind of school is this? Because immediately when you step through the gate, you are being taught to be confident in who you are, because you're not only representing yourself, but you are representing as if a kingdom.
Woo!
And by that, you are kings, right? So I remember this spirit of excellence and pride being inculcated, at the inception. Because guess what? You wear your tie so proudly, and you represent something, that you are proud of, essentially, right? I remember just feeling so, because right now, if someone asks that, which school you go to, look at me and say, puff out your chest, take a deep breath. Yes, and some people, it might be misconstrued as being cocky, but it's really not that. It's you feeling proud of representing an institution that, spreads, goodness, and it's just so rich.
Of all the bossy KC boys that I've ever spoken to, none of them have ever expressed it this way, that you're representing a kingdom. No, that was what all we like with the Woolmans and that we up against. For we never ever know so who was representing kingdom. We only represent our little idiot school. But while who was no one down the between. Oh my goodness. And then the purple and the royalty just match right in. Well said. All right, so I get the point. All right, fine. So that's that. Let us move on now to the writing, because my question to you before we get into the book is, did you find that writing generally helps to calm you down and helped with your healing?
Oh, Elise, you're asking all the right questions. I mean, writing started at a time in my life where I felt like I couldn't do anything else. I remember football, would have always been the sport or the channel through which I expressed myself. It would have been the channel through which I expressed my pain. I remember being injured, and I remember the fact that I wasn't able to play anymore, right? Well, as a competitive sport. And I remember being so down and dejected by that I turned to writing. I wanted to write about my pain. And I remember, after writing for months, I remember showing, a friend of mine some things that I wrote about. And I remember she being so overwhelmed, thinking that you didn't write this. Right? So, of course, it's therapy.
Yes.
Writing is healing. And I can remember always telling my friends that, listen, you see, you're going through, write about it. Mm-hmm. Because now, years looking back on things that I used to write, I have seen where prayers have been answered. Mm-hmm. And because I can make a reference to that, I can see that prayers are being answered. writing is therapy for me.
It is therapy. And for those who are listening, writing, as you hear Jahvoughn say, it's therapy. And it doesn't even necessarily mean writing a book. You can take it that far. But just sometimes, if you're having a difficult day and your mind is overwhelmed, just take up a pen. You don't have to write good. Just scribble all of what you have on your mind and don't stop until it's done. And when it's done, you can even throw away the paper. But you've moved all of that energy from out of your own body to the paper. Throw it. Okay, done. So that's something that we can do as people who go through anxieties.
Yes.
All right. So now let us talk about this 4-part book titled Voices of My Soul. How it started.
Voices of My Soul. I mean, it started as one poem. I remember I was feeling overwhelmed by my father's death again before I had gotten over, the guilt of his passing. And I remember turning to pen and paper. First poem that I penned was, a poem expressing how much I missed him, and how I regretted, not regret, but how I felt bad about not loving him enough, right? And that was the first poem that I wrote. I remember again that I had written a poem 2 months after that, and I remember showing my friend, and she said, probably this can become a book. No, I would have written more than 100 poems subsequent to those 2 poems, and it's amazing. So writing for me, I didn't know that I had the gift of writing. Looking back now, I realized that in the 5th grade, I was commended for some writing that I had done. I had forgotten that. So perhaps it was something that I had always been gifted to do. Right?
But football took over.
I was consumed by the sport, Mama Elise. Nothing else, I couldn't find the time to do anything else. I wasn't passionate about anything else. But no, writing is, what I'm most passionate about.
Okay, let's talk about Voices of the Soul, because that title tells us a lot. It tells us that it's not just frivolous writing, it's deep stuff. So you finished part 1, right? And yes.
Okay, go ahead. All right, Voices of My Soul, Mama Elise. First, it was Layers of My Soul. And I remember telling Mommy, and Mommy say, but sister, something names already.
Yes, that's true.
And I was saying, Mommy,
Mommy, you're right.
I was
and
like,
the same thing with us said to me, you're not named already.
Yes, and she said, you know what Layers of My Soul already? And I was like, oh, Mommy, I said, that's true.
Something on TV.
Something has that name already.
Yes, that's true.
And I was like, all right, let me go back and think again. And that's when Voices of My Soul came to me. A still small voice. Because that's what the book represents. Right? It's a collection of poems that echo truth about myself, ourselves, and our environments that we often ignore or suppress. Right? So you have the voice of love. You have the voice of spirituality. You have the voice of pain. You have the voice of, there are a lot of voices that we can relate to. So it's a community of poems that not only speak to myself, but speak to you and I.
Give us a taste of one of the poems. How many poems are there?
About 70.
In the one?
Yes.
No wonder you only finish one. All right, give us a taste of anyone.
All right, cool. This poem that I'm about to say, it was inspired by Davina Bennett. I remember listening to watching an interview with herself and Yendi, and I remember being inspired. She asked a question: is your mind your best friend or your enemy? And I was, I was dumbstruck by that question, because oftentimes my mind operates as my enemy, not serving me effectively to bring about positive result. So yes, my mind is my best friend. That's the title of the poem. I am happy, my mind is my best friend. It never, okay, let me go again. I am happy, my mind is my best friend. It never allows intrusive thoughts to rob me of my dreams. It stands as guard, resilient and armed to protect and embrace the good things I believe. I am happy, my mind is my best friend. When I think a good thought, my mind is there to water it. When I've planted doubt, my mind is there to pluck it out. When I feel depleted, my mind is there to fill me with hope. When I'm overwhelmed by life, my mind is there to help me cope. I am happy, my mind is my best friend. It tells me when I'm wrong. It never gets carried away by the wave of my emotions. It stands assured and grounded, honest and strong, to deliver the truth however hard it may be, then gather us both and move along. I am happy, my mind is my best friend. I put measures in place to ensure its health. I look after what it eats, where it feeds, and from whom it receives, because it's my best friend. At the end of the day, my mind would always be by my side or in my head. So instead of spending my intimate space with a powerful and dangerous enemy, I'd rather spend it with a loving and powerful friend. I'm happy, my mind is my best friend.
Wow, beautiful. And I'm sure that question that was asked in that interview really made you start to explore your mind, because your mind can be your worst enemy. And there are times when all of us, the best of us, our minds we come up with some things like, where you come from? Go on about your business. So we have to really, watch what we think. Be careful of what we think.
Definitely, Mama Elise.
Excellent. So when is this book going to be published?
Well, all right. I'm not privy to divulge that information as yet, but what I can tell you is that it will be published soon.
Okay.
The publisher would have, done the first draft, waiting on the second draft, but I can say safely by early next year, it will be published.
You said one of your passions is, well, we spoke about, youth development, and it's obvious that you have started youth development on yourself.
Yes.
And we're talking about leadership and lifelong learning. And based on what you've been through, life will teach you, as you talk about lifelong learning,
Yes.
life will teach you that there is value in the valley.
Yeah.
There's a song that Richie Stephens has that he says the hilltops will teach you lessons, that the valley will teach you lessons that hilltop knows nothing about.
Definitely, I agree with you, Mama Elise.
So in order for you to be that leader that you clearly have been created to be, you would have to have understood the value of the valley.
Yes.
Because someone will come to you and talk about the pain and you don't identify with it and you say the wrong thing. But because you've been there, you understand, you empathize.
Yes.
You have empathy and you're able to help someone on their healing journey. You're a powerful young man.
Thank you so much, Mama.
Absolutely. And I know that you are going to be, you already are a leader. Is there anything that you want to say to those listening before we seal up this interview that you feel passionately about and you want to say before you go?
All right, cool. I would just like to express my personal mantra, and that is LEAP. Now, what LEAP stands for, there's a two-part to it. So the first is living to embrace the abundant philosophy. It's you thinking that there is more room for growth, more room to receive, and more room for learning. Because oftentimes we are constricted by our environment, Mama Elise. We feel like scarcity is our portion for life. And I can tell you, living in the inner city, whereas I remember not working and, just looking around me, and all I could see was men on the corner, digging out them their hand middles, and I was like, no, this cannot be my reality. Abundance must be my if I am the child of a king, I can't pour. So that's when I realized that abundance must be, my reality. So living to embrace the abundant philosophy, leap. Now the other portion is me going after all that I want. So it's lions eat after pouncing. Now when you think of a lion, Mama Elise, and he's going out to hunt, it's only one thing in my mind. I must catch his prayer. And that's how I think about my goals now. Right? So, and that is another book of itself. This is my leap year. That's what that one is called.
This is my leap year.
Yes.
I love that.
And
those brethren that you're talking about who are in the community that you were raised in, do you get a chance to share Jahvoughn with them and how you think, and if you do, how do they respond?
I mean, I do, they regard me as the positive youth, and of course I'd love to have more influence, but I understand that, influence comes with what you accomplish. So it can't be a case where I only, spread the positive word. Of course I do that, but I understand that, the second part of that is you accomplishing results, to let them know that, okay, it's possible then. Because I'm sure they would have heard those same positive words coming from other mouths.
Yeah.
So why would they believe me then? So I want to show them that, okay, you know, I can achieve certain things, and then so they can be influenced by not only my words but by my actions and results.
Can I leave something with you, Jahvoughn? Because,
Yes, Mama.
you know, you're a positive young man, you're a focused young man, and that's a wonderful thing. And continue to be positive, continue to be focused, and continue to strive for perfection, but remember that we're not perfect.
Yes, Mama.
So whenever it is that you find yourself in a situation where you're not perfect, you're going to remember to arm yourself with not just forgiving others, but arm yourself with forgiving yourself.
Yes,
We're
Mama.
not perfect beings. And sometimes if we think of ourselves as always wanting to be perfect, it will make us anxious. And that's not a good thing. So whenever you're feeling too anxious, just, inhale and exhale.
Thanks for that word, Mama.
All right? All right, my darling. It's so nice talking to you. Have yourself a wonderful day, and may the Most High continue to guide you and bless you into the great human being that you are.
Thank you so much, Mama Elise.
Enough love.
I'll hold that sentiment with me.
Yes. Wonderful. Yes, this is the kind of young people that I just love to talk to. So that's Jahvoughn Francis, a young aspiring author. Poem is brilliant, and we're looking forward to getting a copy whenever it comes out, reading it, and even sharing it with our listeners. Have a wonderful life.
All right, thanks, Mama.
So thank you so very much for accepting our invitation. I think just last week we were playing, as usual, we're playing Hezron, and you know that you have quite a few female fans. So I had every intention of inviting you on the bridge. Of course.
Yeah,
Of
we know
course.
the timing.
But just in case I forgot that, you see this thing here? Hezron! Then him have new CD too. And I'm like, patience, my sisters.
Yeah, man,
patience. So
yeah,
I'm
man.
sure they're all quite elated.
Yeah, man, we give thanks. Big up to all of them. You don't know. Big up to all the beautiful ladies, supporters over the years, you know.
Right.
Yeah, man.
You know, as you said, big up to all the beautiful lady supporters. You know, just reading your bio and talking to you for so many years, over the years, it's as though your life is one that's full of polarities.
Yeah,
Because there is Jamaica, then there's foreign.
yeah, exactly.
There is country and there is
It's
town.
yeah.
There is man and there is woman.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just seems as though you're always being drawn over here, over there, and
And keeping a balance.
and keeping that. But then it's
And labor.
October.
Yeah, we can't help it.
I just got my answer a while
Yeah,
ago.
man, yeah, man.
So that is why the polarities, because your challenge is really to keep that balance.
Yeah, man, to keep that balance.
As an October one,
Yeah,
as a Libra.
exactly. That's my challenge. And
Yes.
that's my that's you know we go already, you know.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
I have to balance it, you know.
You have to.
Have to, yeah.
Yes, because your life has forced you to balance.
Exactly.
It. All right. So for those who don't know much about your past, your background, let us start there. So you were born and raised where and how?
I'm born in Mayal district. You know, that's the actual address. Mayal district, Reading, PO, you know. But it's in St. James, a little village, Reading, you know what I mean? And really, I'm raised between, I'm in the valley of two kind of, you know, maybe it's a mountain, but two, you know, hills and them thing there. And one is Mayal Hill, and the other one is Tower Hill, you know. And I call for part through Gully. You understand?
Okay.
So we raised through Gully and all that stuff. And we're the last part in Jamaica, the last set of people to get light in Jamaica.
You serious? It's bush you come from.
We were telling that the valley, so you don't know, you know, so yeah, so a real thing, man. But you know, that's where we come from, you know, basically. People just say Montego Bay, you know what I mean?
Right,
St. James, you know, the city, you know.
right.
Yeah, man.
So we just want to bless up all the people from that side of town. And, you know, it's just, you know, as you say, you're the last set of people forget life. You know, that's why we have to talk to people, you know, because a lot of people probably thought that, you know, the look where you have is some kind of uptown bridge.
How much years we are going to...
No, seriously, you know.
know.
That's why you don't judge people, you
Me know
know.
why,
Oh, the society bridge, you know, him.
Me know all the while,
In Grab Bush.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, right.
The real deal.
What
yeah.
was that like?
Well, it was nice, you know. I tell you that, you know, despite the you know, you don't know poverty, you know, for culture, you know, for situation in Jamaica as a youth, you know. but we had fun, You know, it's a difference. Not we're not stray from it, but like since I've been in Kingston and I'm around I'm going to the inner cities and all that stuff. We don't know a lot of studio session down there, jungle and all them place. And I look back, I say, boy, I tell you, my life, even though we live in poverty, we did have a lot of love, family values and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Lot of, you know what I mean? It's like it's such a difference, Even though we face many times not going to bed with food, or you know what I mean, have to drink water, but it's like it's different here. When I look here in the inner cities, I see you know what I mean, the fact that there's no guidance really. I don't really see the law. You know what I mean? I see a lot of neglect.
Yeah.
And they use them, and I see where they use them turn and become independent and decide make their own future, their own destiny, And sometimes without guidance. So I had guidance.
Yeah.
I had some serious people. My uncle never leave me alone. I mean, my father left, and even though he left, because of certain situation, I had to, back in them time, the survival, they had to leave and go America and get a chance, and then my old lady leave. But my grandfather and my grandmother, them dep on my case, and I couldn't, even though I was like me tend to want to get trouble and all them things, but then they put my kids.
You make it a very serious point, Hezron, because there's poverty and there's poverty.
True.
And there's also wealth and there's wealth too,
Yeah, it's true that.
Yeah, man. Because some people who grow up in a lot of wealth will tell you stories of absolute neglect.
Exactly.
Even
true.
though they were born and
without
in wealth.
Yeah,
yes.
it's true. Yeah.
But one of the good things about, I always say, if me go pour more for poor country.
Yeah, man.
Because me a fruit tree, me can pick me food.
Yes, yeah, when you put up all your picture of them man with the water, man. I tell it.
No, seriously.
You see, she had a bus and shot.
No, but what you know?
Everybody.
It just remember the producer come from your side of town.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Yes. Producer come from that side of Jamaica.
Yes, so she understand the water.
Yes. And you talk about that water. Let me tell you something. I grew up in Kingston.
Okay.
And you see, when I left to come to St. Anne, me did feel like a town bunking. No, because I did think it was all that where me did come from, and it wasn't.
Exactly.
It wasn't.
Exactly. Totally, yeah, man. A different world.
Yeah,
different, yeah, man. It is life.
Yes.
You say that, you know what I mean? You look at it and you understand where one can survive, and because it's not constricted. There's no restriction and constriction. It give you the image, the nature in itself. The purest form. You see it down there. And looking at it, you see life. Like it's a connection with the universe, nature. You see possibilities. Just looking out there, the ocean, the fruits, availability, accessibility to food. You know what I mean, and all that stuff. Make you say, boy, this place, it's a special place, country.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? They call it country, but it's, it's like looking into the universe itself, the possibility, creating possibilities, creating a future. You know what I mean? So, in the city, it's restricted and constricted. You understand?
I get you loud and clear. The mission is there because of the amount. One of the things that my son said to me when we moved into St. Anne, him said, "Mommy, you see when we did that town, look how much of my friend them school for you. You notice you're not paying no. No, seriously, no, honestly. And what was the biggest culture shock for them was that people are not rich, but they are not suffering.
I tell you that basically that you carry it right down to the you carry right down to the line I'm supposed to use.
Yeah, man.
They are not rich, but they are not suffering.
No, they're not.
And that's why I'm love. Me love country. You know what I mean.
Yeah, man, me too.
Yeah, man. Me always done it. It's like trip for my birthday. It's like and when I remember one time he used to carry him down there. Cause I'm a junglist. He used to talk about me can't left. Every time I left, me can't. You're a real country man. And I say now as him mature, the man. If me say me I go a country, you don't let me. They let me.
Yeah, man.
Because he open up and say, yo, boy.
Yeah, man.
It's a different mentality, it's a different world.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
that's a town bunking.
Yeah, town bunking that.
Yeah, man. You feel the town is all that, but it's not. So you left from that environment and you went to the States.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, in the States, we experienced many things. That was really. Because like 19, 20 at that age, and I was there for like 10 years. So, but during those years were the most important development, to manhood. And these were the time where I, experienced a lot of stuff. Like me start out in, because I left college in Jamaica, so I went to Burwood Community College, But while I was there, you know what I mean?
South Florida.
South Florida, yeah, South Florida. But, you know what I mean, as we say, we get to youth and all them things, you know, but, you know, in a poverty, you know what I mean, the juggling, survival came into play, you know, and I was always a determined youth and a chance taker. And I never liked the sufferation of the field because we leave from Jamaica, right, and we go to meet up with the parents, and we go in and get to them off Charleston Street, and it's like a 2-bedroom, you know what I mean, 2 project looking place and all that stuff, you know, with all at the end of the street have video cameras and all that stuff, you know, real project, yeah, and you know, it's 4 of us, me and 2 other brother and a sister. So it's like 2 bedroom.
Were you expecting that though? Because
never expect it.
Never expect it.
No,
it's a culture shock.
Culture shock,
Yeah.
you know. So we link up and say, yo, me I go back to the survival zone and start hustling, and you know, well, I'm in college and all them things, but you know, me hustle and juggle and all these things, you know. You know the way they, you know, juggle the you know, for everything, Kalalo and
yeah, man.
you know what I mean, and go through it and fall a minute, some troubles and some little traps.
Yeah.
Yeah, me never know. Me never know some know the place.
So that was what? South Florida. That was the United States.
Yeah.
So when did you actually realize that you had this vice? And
Well,
yeah.
You're right, yeah, good, yeah. Well, yeah, true. Well, it's after I go through all the early troubles. Well, we give me family, you know. You know what I mean? And then I finally get one like you know, a couple months thing, and I'm calm down, you know. I'm start thinking. And while I was in there, you know, in incarceration, a lot of the man them start look at me different, and then you hear me write and you hear me sing, and them say, youth, you too talented, and start coming sing a youth and all this thing, and yo, you this, and then see me write about the experience that I face, and them feel it inside and all these things, and them start encouraging me, and even the word that tell me say, yo, you're too talented, because one of the time a letter came to the house, to my mother, you know, and to my parents' house. And it was that I won. I was qualified for the top 3 finals for a poetry competition that I had entered. You know, National Library of Poetry, and I was in the top 3, and the grand prize was $48,000 in prizes. You know, imagine that. You know.
So you won that?
No, I mean I couldn't. I had to come out. You know, I wasn't here because the final was for me to come and read it in front of the judges.
And you couldn't.
And I couldn't, and all them things there. And other letters come and tell me, you know, what I mean, like Hezron have a natural aptitude for writing, the language writers group, and then my voice, you know, and then you know what I mean, the Jamaican, you know, and all the other people that was in the conservation thing with me say, yo, youth, your voice, yo, you have the voice, make me want to cry, and all these things. So I be encouragement. So them look at me and tell me, say, yo, you say, leave this place, man.
Don't come back.
Don't come back, man.
Try
never
to save so. But can I tell you something though, Hezron? You know, it's an old story now. And why I say that is because it is just so very clear that the universe, whoever is in charge of it, has a way of bestilling certain people.
True, man.
Especially if you're just too busy
True,
and the universe have work for you to do. The universe has a way of just saying, my son, me know you don't want for there so right now, but your life may I see you. So just sit down here so right here so and save your life.
May I tell you that? The realest thing that, you know. The realest thing, may I tell you that?
Trust me. So you got a chance to actually be still.
Yeah, man. Be still, I am.
I know.
Yeah, man. That this is my purpose, you know, and all that, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, man, and, you know, it really, I changed my life. I mean, never look back, you know. I never look back. And, you know, there was a guy in there named Tolo, you know. But just find out him dead, you know. A real warrior, you know. That was a man that, I don't know if you remember about the bus ride shooting back in the, I did 90s or something, I 80s, in when they had showers and Spangler's War and all them things there. And walking and murder wipe people on the bus and all them things there, you know. Back in them days in New York.
Oh, in New York?
Yeah, New York, yeah, man. Spangler's and Showers were the bus ride shooting. Triple I know about them, supposed to know about them things there, you know. And he was in there with me as a elder. And I remember one time he get out of him like he lose his mind, and the man wake me up in the cell and say, yo, sing a youth. You have to sing Telo because Telo like him, I lose it. And the man act like I'm an animal. And me try if I sing with it, me try if I sing, I use my little thing. And I see him now move until me sing calm down. Come here, I say, what am I do? Come here and see him like, you know, because in the cell, you know, in them situation, man, you know, you know what I mean? So, and me and him talk, you know what I mean, and calm down and everything. And I remember one time a old lady come look for me. And me used to tell him, because some of the guys in the some of the guys inside with me, so the Jamaicans used to say, you go back a yard, go back a yard, yo, because you bust down a yard. And I follow them and say, yo, man, go back down there. And him did I say it to. But when my mother come, and we sit down in front of meet up, and, you know, my mother come and, you know, visit and all that stuff. And my mother say, like me tell my mother, say, yo, forget about the case, man, more and go back home. You know? And she look around and turn to the to tell her that he was on the next, he had a visitor, and he looked to him and said, what do you think about it? You think we can make him go home? And he said, no, because in Jamaica, I just leave Jamaica, and, you know, the youth don't have a chance, and they will go down and get back in a badness and violence, and you now get a chance in life. You know what I mean? And all this thing, you know, there's no opportunity for him down there, so better him stay. So I tell you, when him say it to me, because me did done make up my mind, the whole I really talk to me if I go back home, I have the man feel yo, me vex.
I'm up Tolo, I didn't know.
Me tell you, you know, me have up the man, me always tell you about the story. Me always say, because me young and fool. You know what I mean? Have up the man, me tell the man, I have him come out.
So you stayed though?
Me stayed, them stayed, them fought for me and me come out and all them things. Yeah, you know.
We're getting the signal we're going to take a commercial break. But one of the things that I want to talk about when we come forward, Hezron, is a subject that we don't talk about as much as we should. And that's the brilliance of your writing. It blows me over. You know, I've been saying this from the word go. It blows me over every time. So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to talk about your writing ability.
Give thanks.
All right. So we have him live inside of the studio, and, you know, based on what that journey was that he told us about, you know, you qualify for sing a song like Resilience.
Exactly.
Because you would have had to have a lot of resilience.
I tell you, enough
to go through, yes.
Yeah, man, you know the back. You know?
Yeah, man. But let me come forward. Yeah, go on.
Me want to say something still,
yes.
Because I want to say before I forget how beautiful you look, you know. Me tell you that, a matter of fact, I might think a joke I make. When we take the picture and post it up, we see the evidence. I mean, I want to say it during the break period. Me I tell you.
Thank
you. Me like, yeah, me tell you, like, me love her go. Like, run, work, everything I go.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful, man. You know.
Oh, you turn it off and him still has, okay, I got you. All right, fine. All right, so,
yeah, man.
Thank you very much. Let us continue. When I listen to your lyrics, I'm first of all listening to poetry. How do you construct your lyrics?
Boy, man, I tell you. That question asked of me so many times for so long, you know. And even now I can't. It is like it comes different ways, you know. You know what I mean? Sometimes if I play an instrument, the melody come, and then the words fall into the melody, and while the melody, like it pick the words out there of the universe. You know, you understand? It pick it and it connect. And another time the words come. Like, you know, sometimes I said, like, you know, I can hear somebody say something that's a profound statement, profound argument. You might even say it, and inside of me just start overheat, you know. You understand? Yeah, man, it just overheat, and then the words start flow from then. It just start, you know, it's like only my wife can tell them, I'm come like she said whenever I'm writing a song, it's like I'm having a baby. She said she's afraid to even come and look at me because the way I look at her without even knowing, it's like an enemy.
It's like you're not there.
Yeah, it's like I'm not. And if she call me, it's like she's an enemy. Like me want to, you know what I mean? I mean, say, hey, and she say, yeah, man. He said, when you're having that, when you're doing that, and she know the level of song. The bigger the song is the longer I'm miserable. And the small. Yeah,
Well, it's good that you understood.
Yeah.
Because you know the creative world can be quite an intricate and a detailed and intricate and misunderstood world.
Yes.
You know? Because you sometimes not even quite sure if you get it, much less those around you.
Exactly.
Because you turn into somebody sometimes that.
I tell you, and that is why it's so hard to explain the writing process.
Yes.
The writing process. You know what I mean? Like. You know, it's like you know, I can't tell you. Your gift, and that's your gift you from God.
Yeah, man. Because I'm going to be very honest with you. There are times when I'm listening to a song that you've written, and I think to myself, did Hezron write this?
Yeah, I remember what.
No, seriously. In the early days, before I was even convinced, but I got through the whole of Google to see if somebody else did write it before, and he come right back to Hezron Club. This Hezron write it.
Over the years, then even the poetry, even my early years when I in college, I write like write poetry. Like I enter every poetry competition, you know, because I used to do it to survive. My mother used to follow me, you know. You understand? Everywhere me I go, and she always support me. And every poetry competition I enter, I win it.
Yeah.
And even I was a member of the Caribbean Union Poets, and the members used to say that we had a president called Frank Ambra, you know, and he was a UA lecturer. And the members used to say, man, Hezron should teach him how to write poetry. I was a little youth, you understand? Yeah. And you know what I mean? So, and the language writers, so it, like, you know, it was always a natural thing for me, you know. It was like, you know, and I don't know where I get it from. I know where we get the singing from because my grandfather, the whole of my family are musicians, you know.
Yeah. And the uncle, we
and
said
the uncle, yeah, I'm a singer too. Everybody, I might be a singer in my.
But I just want to say it on this forum, because I've said it before on other forums, that your writing can be compared to just about any internet, the best of them. The best of them. And there's a genre that I'm particularly fond of them writing, and it's country and western.
True,
right?
man. True, man.
Don't play with them bad man.
Yeah,
So-
man, the singer-songwriter.
Yeah,
you know.
man, and your writing compares to any of them.
Yeah, you sound like Pat,
yeah.
you know. Pat always say it, you know.
Yeah, man.
Pat is a machine. It's every year.
Yeah,
look,
man.
a machine.
Yes, bless up, Pat. Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about crooning, the voice now.
Yeah.
And how you came to terms with the fact that you are a singer.
Yeah. Like when I'm 11 years old still, you know what I mean. It can't be a singing. It's a natural thing. You know, my grandfather, he used to have a crew when they have dead yard in the area. The crew of them, my mom next man named Butty. You know, kind of they give them rum, you know, and then burn down the place. Yeah, man, I'm my aunt, my grand-aunt, them top singer. So we always take it around, and my uncle always sing and all them things. You know, so I mean, I'm influenced. So I mean, at the thing one time I sing, and my grandmother hear me I sing, and then find out and say, you know, me if I come to church, come sing, and them start pressure me. Me used to sing this song there, there's a roof up above me, and a good place to sleep, food on my table, and all them things. You know the song there, so. So we used to sing it and all them things. But I never want to stay in a church too long because I was kind of, I just love the dancehall vibes more. Because I'm young, the church vibes, you know, kind of bored, you know. And then I used to complain, say, you go use a good voice.
We got gear.
Yeah, the mic with the booga yaga thing.
Yeah, that's
so
a regular
that
thing.
So that was the first time, you know, I kind of realized that we have the thing, and then I have the thing, you know, this grief, and then, but I lean more to dancehall because we're young. And that did I go on, you know, but, I mean, Buju Band, I mean, Shabba, Ninja Man, they love Ninja Man and all them things, and you know, and so I really get serious when I get locked up in America. I think that's when I really
Know yourself.
I know myself, and the man people that say, yeah, sing you, because they say when I time me I sleep, and they hear me sing in my sleep, and my eye full of water. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Indian guy they tell me that, you know. Say he was looking in my eye full of, I mean singing in my sleep, I never ever know, you know. And then I came out and win talent shows after talent shows, singing.
All right, let's talk about another polarity. Women just naturally gravitate to Hezron, I mean, without an effort, right? For obvious reasons.
Yeah,
You not only just have this beautiful voice, but you have a beautiful aura.
Give thanks.
Yeah, man, absolutely beautiful.
Give thanks.
So women just naturally gravitate to Hezron.
That's true, man.
But the man them, you them on some man way hardcore. And them always I say, heavy.
Yeah, man. She flown it. Yeah, man, that's tough, man.
Oh, rough you up, you know.
Yeah.
Make it do that. So how do you balance again the kind of songs that we want to hear as women
Yeah.
as opposed to the kind of songs that probably you want to do?
But I just saw mistake. Because him, that tough man him called me. Triple, you know what I mean? He must say, man, you're the tough, you know what I mean, man? You don't hear my talk, man. Sometimes I have to say, you know, I never know I influence him so much. And, you know, man say, yo, you're the strongest. You know what I mean? But me used to do this thing, me used to DJ, you know. So hardcore, me, you know, it's just, me is a leap, me have two sides, you know. Me is a revolutionary at art, you know what I mean? Me is a warrior spirit, me have. Me is a maroon, me can't, it's a struggle, but me try, and the ladies, you know. So me
So let the lady them I give you more trouble.
So
Okay, here we go again with the ladies.
Yeah, because, you know, even sometimes, I remember one time, because you know, I'm in Jamaica and we are fighting back, like, you know, what time you talk to me and, and support, and, all different support. And I'm not giving in to no kind of, because I remember one, boy, I have to love you, because Remember one time I explained to you and said, boy, Queen, you might feel like everybody else says, she's bigger than that and bigger than this idea, but you don't mean that. And, and by the time I finish, he said, Hezron, it's just nothing new. It's just nothing new to surrender. It does just that. That's when they tell me that. I say, boy, come like you live with me, And Chip will tell her that. So that's why they call me tough man and coach. Like, it's just, my father is a man, who grew up on the street, From him 11 year old, him father died when he was 6. And then him dead on the street from him 11 by himself. And him live America now. And the fight, you can imagine an 11 year old and I get, if you grow up, imagine the things where I go through and all them things, the resilience. So maybe all these things come in the blood, and me, so we just know, it's a fighting, man, you understand? We just don't know if it's surrender, and so sometimes things come out, militancy come out in songs and all them things, and me cater for the militant people, the people, love you and all the people with pride and morals and dignity, and know that one thing you said to me that victory with compromise is no victory at all. Well, easy me, I tell you. I don't even know the.
No, you know why? You know why you can quote me so much, because it's always one of my joys. Remember, we usually sit under a tree, and you were the one inspiring me to inspire you.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because of what you were saying and how you say it.
Yeah.
And although you're being radical and you're insisting that me a toughie and all these things, but at the end of the day, what I was just seeing is you.
Yeah, it's just exactly.
It's just who you are.
It's just who me is. It's just the ladies them. That's why I love the woman them, because I want to save me,
Yeah.
Because when I go one-sided, like I remember one time in the house, I write all kind of song, cause the oppression, the suppression of the people, them and all that get to me. Me are that kind of artist. Me can't put a blind eye to certain things, You know what I mean? I'm an import, them say they give me all kind of name, But things like from my youth, my mother always hide things from me and my family. Cause they said, make fly no, because you can go take it up extreme, You understand? So
I've watched you, Hezron, not battle, but just consider deeply the fact that who women want you to be, and trying to satisfy who women want you to be, and not what you say as opposed to, but also to incorporate who you are.
And them accept me now.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, I'm glad,
They have.
Yeah,
they
it
have.
take a long time.
I'm happy to hear you say that.
And I respect it,
Yes, because now you're the man who women love and men respect.
Exactly.
So you have conquered.
Yeah, exactly. Well, easy,
you
she even talk.
No, but you've conquered.
You're a living warrior. Yeah, man, exactly.
All right, so let's talk about the man on the mission now. Who is the man on the mission? We're talking about the CD and who is this man on the mission?
Well, music, it seems, is my ultimate purpose on this earth. I've done many things, tried different things. I've ventured, but the natural calling on my soul is music. The man on a mission is, I love reggae music. I used to do R&B. I do many kind of songs, and I find that, no disrespect to other music and all that stuff, but I love, everybody have, everybody love them kind of music, and love R&B. But I find that to express the true Hezron, or to express the people, the pain of the people, or to express the struggle, or the people, or the things that I know and what I go through, and try to make it relatable, put a connection with others outside. I find other music but reggae music to do it. I cannot sing resilience are made for the battle. There are certain things on the R&B, the songs that I can't take the pressure. Me only find it on reggae music and uplifting songs, and like give me smile today. You understand? So I find that I'm fighting now for this music, what I believe is God music. It have to be God music. It is the only music that can put our topic and accommodate the people's struggle. And have a resolution and hope, the vibes and everything. I see no other music, and I've been on many, I've taken on a lot of music. You understand? So this is a music that I feel like in the past couple of years that come like, they want kill the vibes of it. Told me see it out there in the world. Every time I look on social media, come like they want to say it extinct. Like it non-existent. You understand? The real reggae music, So I dress back, especially for this album, and I come back in like 2 years ago, stop tour too much and all them things. Well, COVID. And I said to myself, I use all my energy and make an album that I believe can represent this thing. that can put back reggae music out there on a you know what I mean, a respected platform internationally. You understand? And I know that I can do it, and I'm gonna do it the authentic reggae music, but with just the now tweaks and you know what I hear and you know what I mean, communicating with now, because you have to use these elements, you know. And I believe it's gonna work. And I started it, and you know what I mean, and I think I'm successful. A lot of people said I'm successfully complete. So the mission is to bring back the music to the forefront. That's the ultimate mission.
Another conversation we've had in the past is pretty much what you're saying here now. But at the time, you were a little frustrated about the fact that we're revolutionary, man. I'm want to express that. I would have liked the lady them to know that. But can I tell you something? Another victory that you have experienced is finding a genre within the reggae genre.
Well, you know, easy, you know.
And you found that genre within the genre with songs like Resilience.
Yeah, man.
And with songs like Walk in Love and Light. So what I find exciting about this album is that you have been able to be the revolutionary who you want to be.
Yes.
You've been able to be the songwriter that you want to be.
Yeah.
And you've been able to be the crooner that you are.
Boy, I mean, I tell you, I don't know, sometimes I come like me, it make no sense me talk to you. But if you just do my whole interview with you a lot. They just need if you have a picture of me up there, so you talk for me.
No. You know why? Because you have given me a chance to understand you. Yes, to understand you. You have given me that chance. And let us play this song, because I really want to highlight the album. And I'm going to ask you if you found a way, or those in charge, if you found a way to submit it to Grammy officials.
Yeah, man, we submit it, man.
Yeah, man, submit it, man.
Yeah, man.
Submit it, man.
Let's get this album. Yeah, man. Cool.
So you found a way. This is a revolutionary song. Absolutely revolutionary. But you found a way to incorporate it on a classic reggae rhythm.
Yeah, exactly.
I am so proud of you.
Give thanks. You know, man, that come from the depths, for a long time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm so proud of you. So where do you go from
That's
here?
Favorite, what I'm favorite song.
This one, beautiful. So where do you go from here? This is a Tad's production. Where do you go from here? And what is Tad's feeling about where he puts the album?
Yeah,
you know?
man, the feedback is very, I mean, like the other day I was talking to Triple and I said, you know, I made this album from my heart, you know, just people just understand that this is what I'm feeling, I'm expressing, and this is what reggae music need. You know, because, you know, when I travel, you know, and you hear the stories of people who love reggae out there, you know, and see and how them feel when them not get what they want, and understand how important, how impactful. It's a life-changing music, you know. I don't know, joke, I don't just party thing, you know.
No.
You understand me? I tell you, life music, got me. So, you know, when the feedback is, you know, I mean, from the done the album, tell say, man, it's a masterpiece. Nobody not even have to tell him. No kind of me that person. He said this, so he love everything, and the feedback is great. And just as me say, I was talking to Triple I say, yo, boy, I'm so glad that Jamaica. We never expect that Jamaica would take on to it. So even though, you know, yeah, because you know them, you know, they love dance, and them take on to it, and we do some performance, and them pull up the whole of the song, especially I see of the children, and you know, TikTok I'm coming, you know.
That's for TikTok. No, let us not even go there. Let us not go into TikTok I'm coming. Because the last time I played TikTok I'm coming inside here, we had to shower down everybody with cold water. No, sir.
Yeah, man, you know, sir.
That is versatility. Like, I mean, come on. You know, let us talk about TikTok. Look here! No, the woman, they wouldn't mind if you sing 17 of them.
That's true.
What's the inspiration?
Yeah, well, TikTok. Well, over the years, you know, the many, you know, my fan base, as you know, female fans have always said, there's no love, but you know, giving us sexy songs, some sensual songs. I say, I don't want all them things, you know, something say, all right, cool. Some never do it. Some never do it. But after we finish the album, we do a lot of the recording to another studio down on Waltham Park with a brother named Kino, you know. So after we finish up the album and, you know, and everything, you know, we do some Triple and we do some on Waltham, and we finish it. Kino come to me and say, Hezron, the song them on the album bad and them big and all that stuff. But I say the woman them are your female, you know what I mean? I say the female them are And your fans, you know, I may say, I don't left them out, I have enough love song. The man say, love song? The girl them want.
Sexy songs.
Yeah, sexy songs. So
yes.
You know what I mean? Say, well, you know, using your rest. So I say, cool. How would I put it? How would I do it? Because I'm not going to go and know kind of the current beats and what go on. You know? So I may say to myself, what would Hezron craft a song for, you know what I mean, sexually and respectable and all them things. Because I'm old school, even though me living at the younger time, me love the old school feel from, you know what I mean, in the way they so. I go for somebody, I had a beat like 3-4 years ago that I didn't remember, but I got through me. I went through my email and buck up on it, you know. And it is Devon Bradshaw. And Devon Bradshaw from Portland, you know, gave me the beat long time ago. And when I play my beat, I say, wait. Yeah, that soul feel. I say, wait. I never touch a beat 4 years. And, you know what I mean, it does come right at the time. And the first note I'm sing on it. You know what I mean? I know say I feel
Connect,
yeah,
big time.
Yeah,
We're running out of time.
Yeah,
Oh, Lord. We're running out of time. But, you know, one of the things that is said about Jamaican musicians or Jamaican crooners is that them nah give the people them no sexy song.
Yeah, I chose to.
And it is said of all different kind of Jamaican singers. Well, you have shown them that the Jamaican man can sing sexy songs because
TikTok.
last word is yours. What's your last word? We're going to come up to this exercise. What's your last word?
My last words. I mean, I like to use this quote, you know, because it's real, you know, from Man on a Mission, you know. I remember one time I talked to you, you know, because we talked so many times, and you said to me like, who said it can't? Who said it can't? Who said it can't be done, you know? I'm going to put it in a song, Man on a Mission. You forget, you know, remember when I said these words, but because, as I said, the kind of man I am, one line can create a whole song. That's what it means, you know? I want to say it to me, who said it can't be done? So it's like, I want to go with like, we are just ordinary people doing extraordinary things. The smallest tides rocks the biggest boat. Who said it can't? Who said it can't be done, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Hezron,
Yeah,
Man on a Mission,
Man
and
on
we
a
have not unearthed even a quarter of who this man is. Trust me.
Yeah,
We're just starting to get it.
Yeah, true.
And I know you have so much more in you.
You sound like that, you know.
You have so much more in you. We're going to seal off, and we're going to call this part 1.
Yeah, man. Part 1.
Good to see you.
Yeah, man. It's
And
always a
continue.
pleasure, man.
Always. So this is how we this is how we left on you. Yes. Don't blush, because all of us blushing inside of the studio. I had to pour water on my staff.